When it comes to happiness, you always hear people say happiness is an inside job. And while I love this sentiment, I think that we often misconstrue and misunderstand what this idea actually means. And this is an issue because if we don't truly understand what's impacting our happiness, we aren't as well equipped to actually do something about it. So in this video, I want to share some important ideas about how happiness actually works, and also give you some implementable and actionable strategies that you can use starting today to become a happier person. And stick around to the end of the video because I'm also going to share a very important strategy, something to keep in mind as you are looking at increasing your overall level of happiness. So you've heard it before, this idea that happiness is an inside job. And I think the issue with how this idea is worded is that when we hear it, we often think, oh, happiness then is just a straight result of willpower. If I just think really, really hard about happiness, then it's just going to happen. And if it's not happening for me, then I must not be trying hard enough or I must not want it badly enough. So this is where people get stuck. They hear that idea, they don't feel like it's possible for them in the moment, so they cast aside the idea entirely and just keep on being miserable. But here's the truth about that idea. While yes, happiness in the largest sense is a product of your choices, there are also circumstantial and environmental factors that affect your happiness. For example, some people, because of circumstantial and environmental factors, do not have a large, easily accessible capacity for happiness. This could be because of trauma that you've experienced in your life, because of where you live currently, or just generally the cards that you've been dealt in your life. That said, even if your current circumstances don't allow you to easily choose into happiness, that doesn't mean that happiness isn't a choice, because it is. Allowing ourselves to be happy is a choice, and your overall capacity for happiness can expand with intentional effort. So if you find it hard to choose into happiness right now, the brilliant news is that that's not a life sentence. It's something that you can change if you want to. And because you're here, because you're watching this video, I'm assuming that that's something that you're interested in. And before I share some strategies to do exactly that, there's one other idea that I wanted to share with you about happiness. And that is the idea that happiness is a holistic game. Every choice you make in every part of your life makes it either easier or harder to choose into happiness. So you have to pay attention to every part of your life, the environments you spend time in, your physical body, your social circle. To me, happiness is, again, a holistic game. It's mind, body, and spirit. All those pieces are connected. Say, for example, that you don't take very good care of your physical body and you're sick all the time. It may not matter how much you know yourself or how great your social circle is, it's likely going to be harder to be happier all the time. And likewise, if you have a social circle filled with toxic or not very supportive people, it may not matter how clear your vision is for your life or how much you move your body and take care of yourself, it's going to be harder to be happier. The bottom line is that there are many factors that impact your ability to be happy, and you have control over all of these factors. And while it's not possible to be perfectly happy all the time, I do think and I do believe that it's possible to create more favorable conditions for your happiness to last and even expand. So to recap, becoming happier over time is possible for everyone, and happiness is a holistic game, not just a mental, emotional game. So given that, I want to share with you 4 strategies that you can use starting today to increase your overall capacity for happiness and to become a happier person. Who am I? To me, this is where all change actually starts. Without knowing it, all of us were given a set of scripts and stories about who we are and how the world works. What ends up happening is as we get older, we just unconsciously follow these instructions. Said another way, we end up going through life without really assessing or understanding why we do the things that we do. So often we get stuck in unconscious reactionary loops. We do the same thing over and over and over and over without really realizing it, even if it makes us super unhappy. So becoming happier comes about as a result of breaking out of these reactionary loops and stepping into responsibility, taking full ownership and responsibility over our choices and decisions, becoming more aware of how we're changing our behaviors. When we're more responsible, we're happier because we understand more deeply who we are and we start to trust in our ability to change the things that aren't working for us. The other piece is that when we don't know ourselves very deeply, I find that we tend to harbor judgments and resentments around younger parts of ourselves, parts that might be angry or traumatized or grief-stricken. And so when we start to become more self-aware, we actually get to access and connect to these younger parts of ourselves and start to heal it, which leads to an overall larger sense of self-love and more happiness. So bottom line here, self-awareness allows us to get to know ourselves on a deeper level, to take more responsibility for the direction of our lives, to heal younger parts of ourselves, and overall to feel happier. This second strategy comes with a very important PSA for you, person watching this video. And that PSA is that you do not live in your brain. Your brain is a tool and you live in your body. This distinction is super important because when we identify as living in our brain, we miss out on all of the wisdom and power that comes from being truly connected to our physical body. We are a complex, multifaceted, living, breathing entity. And if we are not taking care of this living, breathing entity, it will fight us. It will make it much harder to be happier. If we're not taking care of ourselves and our body is plagued by illness and stress and anxiety, it's going to impact our judgment, our clarity, and our ability to be powerful out in the world. Like, think about the last time that you got really sick. You likely weren't thinking about that awesome new business that you wanted to start or how you wanted to deepen your relationship with your partner. You were literally just trying to survive. And while it's kind of an extreme example, I think it shows the impact that our physical body and our physical state can have on everything else. So if we're not physically connected to our body, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we usually drop down into a survival state. And I find that usually survival and happiness are pretty mutually exclusive. And so this is why it's so important to take care of ourselves, to create health inside of our bodies. Because if we're moving our body, if we're taking care of ourselves, if we're making sure that we are healthy, we're much more likely to be happy, and we increase our capacity to choose into happiness.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, definitely.
You ever heard that quote, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with? The idea being that who we spend time with deeply influences who we are and how we feel about ourselves. So I want you to do something. I want you to pause this video and I want you to write down the names of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And then I want you to go through one by one and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy they are. 1 being absolutely miserable, 10 being the happiest person that you've ever met in your life. So pause this video, write those names down. And in looking at those names and how you've ranked them, what do you notice? And I'd love to hear from you too, like share in the comments. What do you notice about the 5 people that you spend the most time with? The reason I'm asking you to do this is because we are highly influenced by the people that we spend time with, their emotional state, their perspective, their belief systems. If you spend time with people who are unhappy, who are pessimistic and have a bleaker outlook on life, you're more likely to be that way. And on the other hand, if you spend time with people who are joyous, who are optimistic, who are continuing to move forward and grow, you are also more likely to be that way. And so if you're looking to be a happier person, the beautiful part here is you get to choose who you spend time with. And if you want to, you can intentionally construct a new community of people who align with the values that you aspire to. This is easier said than done for sure. It's gonna require you to get out of your comfort zone in more ways than one likely, but there are endless opportunities to meet new people. You could check out meetup.com, you could check out local clubs, you could check out different hobbies, groups of people that are meeting locally in your area. You could check out Rotary clubs, you could check out volunteer opportunities. There are so many opportunities locally, but if that's also not possible for you, the internet has literally everybody that you could ever want to meet. And so part of it is also being intentional about who you're actually looking for. And what I would offer, if you've never done this before, is to actually sit down and look at what are my conditions of satisfaction with my friends? Who are the kinds of people that I want to become friends with? What are the qualities that they have? What are the traits that they have as people? What are their interests? How do they make me feel? How do I make them feel? And when you're clear on that, then go online and start to look for where are these people hanging out? And as a hint, there's probably some of those people that you're looking for in the comments of this video. So in constructing this new social circle, you actually get to create a vision of how your life is gonna be different, about who these friends are gonna be, how they're gonna make you feel, and what's gonna make you happiest. And speaking of vision, in all the interpersonal and coaching work that I've done, what I've come to realize is that growth is a basic human need, just like food, water, and shelter. If we're not growing, we're much more likely to feel stagnant and stressed and anxious and lost. If we're not growing, we are much less likely to be happy. The issue is that for the first 20 or so years of your life, opportunities for growth are basically forced on you. Having to go to school, having to do extracurriculars, having to learn how to speak, make friends, learn basic social skills. But at a certain age, all of those have-tos disappear. And you are then responsible for creating your own opportunities for growth. But this is actually where it gets really exciting, because not only do you have control over how quickly you grow as a person, how many opportunities for growth you give yourself, but you also have direct control over the direction in which you're growing. And the easiest way to get to know this direction is to create and get clear on the vision that you have for your life. So how do you want your life to look over the course of the next year, the next 2 years? What shifts do you want to see in the major areas of your life, in money, in career, in relationships? Who do you want to become as a person in the future? What do you aspire to? And if you do your job right, you're going to be stretched and challenged in the pursuit of that vision. So not only do you get more of what you want, the physical, tangible results, but you're also feeding that basic need for growth, which also means a lot more happiness. So let me know in the comments, which of these are you most excited to implement in your life? And before you leave, I have one more suggestion for you when it comes to changing things up and starting to become happier. And that suggestion is, don't do all of these at once. It's so easy to overwhelm ourselves, to try to take on too many things at once and then get discouraged. So the opportunity here is to pick one thing, make meaningful progress, and start to build the habit of winning. Starting with small, consistent wins allows us to build our own sense of confidence and self-trust and work our way to bigger and bigger wins. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know how it's working for you, and I will see you next time.